So Alan said to me the other day he wasn't aware that I was doing more work this year in my gardens than ever before. So I've decided to take a video of all my gardens and talk a little bit about them and why it's taking more time. This is my kale that I planted last fall. Went through the winter and then into the spring. I've had more pest damage than ever. And I've used pesticides this year because, well, I want the broccoli and those little white butterflies aren't going to have it all. But even with the dust, got pest damage. Of course, I've had to water all these gardens because it's been so dry and so hot, which takes a long time when you're dealing with all these containers. I love watering though. It's therapeutic. I not only had a spring garden where I harvested things out of these, but I planted a fall garden. These are my fall broccoli. And some more beans that I'm going to shell. These are red Indian beans. And there's Frankie. He's been a help. Quite a help. The pest even messed with my nasturtiums this year. Again, I harvested the spring crops out of these and then planted fall crops. Have to be watered and dusted because, well, the bugs. This has taken a lot of water. It's my Chinese, or red, yeah, whatever it's called. It's pink celery. Needs lots and lots of water. Parsnips. I didn't plant as many this year because I still have some in the freezer. This originally was my asparagus, and then I came in and planted broccoli. So this garden is my herbs and a few other assorted things. But this is basil and sage. More over there. Basil. Here's my broomcorn. It's my first year planting it. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's cool. Here's where my chamomile was. It's almost done for. I planted a lot of herbs and things in flower pots. It's easy for me to handle, but it does require a lot of watering. My ginger. More beans that I'm going to be shelling. They're starting to dry, which is cool. Don't mess them up here. I love shelling beans. I planted lots of beans for that. They did pretty well. If you've been my friend for a while, you probably remember 2 summers ago I had issue with my legs and made gardening extremely difficult. I could barely walk, let alone squat or bend or anything. So I started using totes as my gardens. I'm still learning what'll grow well in a tote and what doesn't. These cabbage were started as in winter sowing. So when it was time to plant them this spring, they were like this big, wee tiny. I took them in and got them started a little bit more under the grow lights and then brought them out, put them in the totes. Again, pest damage has been horrible, so I dust them, but You know, you can't really dust cabbage and have it be okay because the leaves all want to fold up, you know, to make the heads. But again, I'm just trying to see what'll grow well in a tote. The soil, my goodness, is so dry. And I water it, and it's just dry. Next year, I'm probably going to plant flowers in here because I really want to try bees. So I want a lot more flowers. Bees are a little bit farther out in my to-do list, but it's definitely something I want. But the same way with the cauliflower. These were planted in the spring. Huge, huge plants. Didn't really make any heads. Dusted it, watered it, but still no cauliflower. But the plants are huge. But I think next year probably going to be flowers. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, these beds were Frankie. Were lettuce. I saw some lettuce. This is the miner's lettuce. It actually reseeded. It's really, really good. This is where I had my onions. They did okay in the raised beds, but I don't know. I ordered some garlic. It's going to be coming in October. It's probably what I'm going to be planting in these because we do like our garlic. Over here are my original raised beds. These ones didn't get moved when we got our puppy, basically because they're falling apart anyway. But we harvested a lot of honeyberries off of these. I really want to get more honeyberries for next year. And my mint. I love mint, and I have all the kinds. Well, not all the kinds. There's so many I don't have, but I have a lot. This is French peppermint, one of our favorites. Over here's more honeyberries and chocolate mint. And you know it's a dry year when even the mint struggles. Because I didn't water these. These are my blackberries. I've gotten some really good blackberries off of here. There's more I can pick today. Some of them have been so big. It's crazy. Crazy how big they are. It's also crazy how they get, how they grow. Frankie tries to catch birds and eat berries out of here, so some of it showed some Frankie pest damage. Speaking of the kit wall fellow, there he is. And Beauregard too. Beauregard! And the blackberries are still blooming, so we're going to have more. My volunteer pumpkin and my mom's morning glories. I was afraid I wasn't going to have any of my mom's morning glories this year, but they did come. A volunteer tomato. My echinacea. This is the volunteer pumpkin. Look at all the little pumpkins in there. Loaded with pumpkins. Hi, Frankie. Lots and lots of pumpkins. And more mint. This one I actually dug up and moved to another bed because Frankie was messing with it. And I didn't get it all. So it all came back crazy. which is fine. This is my second tomato garden. Again, we started all these from seed. And I came in after I planted the tomatoes and I planted squash, which are doing really well. And I also planted beans, again, because I like dried beans, so I planted lots of beans. These all be dried beans. Now to pick the tomatoes in this row, I'll have to get down and crawl in through there to pick my tomatoes. But they don't seem to mind sharing their space with the beans and the squash. They seem to be doing well. Some of the plants are really struggling. That's just because they're too close. Someone planted way too, well, there's no such thing as too many tomatoes, but I planted a lot. And when you do that, they can't get air, which results in blight and issues. But the tomatoes have been doing great. Look good. Taste even better. And there's another squash. Not a pretty leaf on that squash. Beans. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of tomatoes in this garden. I planted 43 varieties of tomatoes this year. Because that's just me. I love tomatoes and I want to grow all the kinds of tomatoes. I also like dry beans and I want to grow all those too. Next year, hopefully, I can show a little more restraint and space things out. Maybe I'll have healthier plants, get even more tomatoes, even more beans. Although, you know, it's just Alan and I. If we don't really need more, it's pretty good. This is my, again, mint. One of my mums I planted last year. Came back and blooming lovely. This is my pepper and beans. There's also squash in here. These are green Hubbard squash. It is ginormous. And it's growing up onto that. It was supposed to basically just grow on the ground, but it went up to trellis instead, which is fine. It can do that. More mint. And again, they're struggling because it's hot and it's dry. These are my peppers. These are shishitos. We've harvested a lot of those already. They're really good. Also, in amongst my peppers, I planted more beans. Surprise, surprise. And I also planted okra. It's the first year planting okra. I just liked the plant. I thought it was cool, so I wanted to grow it. And the blooms, I'll show you in the other garden, one that's actually open, are so pretty. These are my Ajarski peppers. We've been adding these to all of our things. They're such yummy. They're so big. So my phone keeps dying before I get done talking. Maybe it's telling me something. But over here we have more beans. I think I showed those before my phone died. And some zinnias. There's little pops of color in the garden. Oh, look at the hummingbird on that one. I'm gonna sit there and watch the show. But these are mostly my herbs, which again I planted in pots because they're easier to take care of, and it's a lot of watering, but I like to water. A lot of the things have to be dusted again because of pests, just to keep them alive. My one lone zucchini that's left is doing great. More herbs. We really like Italian seasoning, so we try to grow all the things that goes into Italian seasoning, and we do pretty good except for the rosemary. I can't grow rosemary for whatever reason. This is Roselle. So I haven't got any blooms on it. It probably gets watched more than anything on the homestead just to see when it's going to bloom. Same way with the artichokes. Probably not going to get any of those this year. More ginger. Beans growing up a trellis my brother made for me. I actually made it for him. Didn't work the way he wanted it, so he gave it to me. I like it. My cilantro had gone to seed, and then I harvested a lot of it for coriander, and some of it came back. So that's cool. Hopefully it'll stay cool enough that we can harvest some. More basil. Toothache plant. More basil. This is a volunteer mint. More basil. My fig tree is making little figs. I'm hoping they actually make, I don't know. We'll see. Volunteer tomato. One of my favorites. Chocolate cherry. I broom corn from the other side. Isn't it just a cool plant though? I like it. Get down through here without stepping on anything. It's kind of a jungle. Over here is my Sweet Dreams bed. I planted my sweet potatoes. I think they're probably getting pretty close to being harvestable. I was watering yesterday and moved some leaves around. I love sweet potatoes. They're getting close, I think, to being ready. This is only our second year planting watermelon, so I'm thinking I probably didn't give it enough space, because I planted it over there, and it's over here, over here, over here, over there, over here. Spider web. Sorry for the abrupt stop on that video, but someone was beating up Jewel, and that's not okay ever on Jewel. So we had to take care of that. Okay, so over here I have 2 stalks of popcorn that survived the critters. We'll see if I can actually harvest some popcorn off of it. And then my okra. We never have grown it, but we have discovered we really like it. And these blooms over here open a little bit more to show how beautiful they are. And the big ones, see if I can get it off without my scissors. Appears, okay, I did. The goats like the big ones because they're really hard and I don't like them. Joel's gonna make a liar out of me. Marin, you like them. It's actually the troublemaker goat over there. That one. She's the one who likes the okra. She's gonna tear my fence down. So, gotta go, gotta fix that. Hope y'all enjoyed the videos and the tours of my gardens. I got so distracted by my goats fighting over there, I forgot about this garden. This one is on its way out. It's pretty much done for. But again, my mom's morning glories. They are so lovely. This is a volunteer squash. I am not sure what it's going to be. I'm thinking maybe a spaghetti squash. I don't know. Again, I planted a lot of things in totes in this garden. And you can see they didn't get watered this morning, so they're showing it. These are parsnips again. Also planted sweetgrass in buckets. Doing pretty good. Over here we have some flowers and some comfrey. Again, everything's showing end of season, lack of rain, hot, dry. I planted some sprouting broccoli. It actually said it was not going to grow this year. It would come up in the spring. I don't know. I planted it. It came up. Bugs like it. My sweet Annie. Look how pretty. And this tomato garden gave us so many tomatoes before it, you know, saying its last hurrah here. It's about done for. But here's my volunteer squash. Said, I'll get you some food. I don't know what yet. I said, I think maybe it's a spaghetti squash. Anybody know? For sure. I don't know. It's kind of long for a spaghetti squash. Let go. It's really long. I don't know what it is. It's got variegated leaves. It's pretty, but I don't know what it is. There's a catmint and my poor kale. Said you didn't water us this morning. The cabbage I started. I'm not going to produce any cabbage, obviously, but that's okay. My fenugreek. That stuff was amazing. I saved a lot of seeds from it. That's this plant here. And they smell like maple syrup. There's still seeds on there, so I'm hoping maybe some will grow back up in here. Actually, one right there. Actually, a whole bunch of them right there. Again, my poor kale. Water. I need water. peanuts. My cranberry hibiscus still hasn't bloomed. I want to make some hibiscus tea. Hopefully I get to. Swiss chard. This is for my fall garden. And a little volunteer tomato in there. This is episode. Again, it's the first time planting it. We were gonna make it with some dried beans in the Instapot, but you're supposed to catch it before it goes to bloom, seed, whatever. I didn't, so that's just how that turned out. My mullein, about done for as well. The mullein salve we made is amazing. Healed my poison ivy right up just in a couple days. More sprouting broccoli. The leaves really don't look like broccoli, so it's kind of, well, I guess they do, kind of. I don't know. Might have been some other things in there too, maybe. That looks like spinach. I did have spinach that went to seed in there, so maybe wash a leaf and taste it, yeah? And more tomatoes that have gone. A good year, good run. My calendula, we made some calendula salve. I love all the new things we've tried this year. It's really been the best summer. Look at these poor plants. They're just done. They're just done. But oh, they produce so many tomatoes. Saved a lot of seeds from the new kinds. And we still have the tomatoes coming. Next year, the gardener really needs to not plant them so close. Oh, lesson learned, maybe. I doubt it. I doubt I learned anything from it. But I'd like to think I did. Now, this is really the final. But yes, Alan, it takes me a long time to water everything and to dust them and to pick them. And I'm not complaining because I absolutely love it. But I am one person and it takes a lot. And I'm just so blessed to be able to do it. This is a great life, Lord. Thank you for letting me live it. So I got inside the house and asked Alan if he could combine all the videos for me into one and share it to Facebook for me. And then I was like, I didn't share my broccoli garden. So, as awful as this thing looks, because again, the bugs have been horrible this year. This has produced so much broccoli. And I basically dust it to keep the majority of the bugs off. And then wait till a nice, good soaking rain, which has been very few this year, but we have had them. And then I harvest my broccoli, give it a good washing. But it's been a really good year. Especially considering it's been so stinking hot. But a lot of this garden is shaded. Right here by our little wooded area. It's afternoon now and it's still pretty much shaded. So it was a good placement on my part. And I also have a squash over here. This one was one my brother had given me. It was a winter squash. He wasn't even sure what it was called. And I didn't know. Some sort of acorn. But it was so good. I saved the seeds from it. And it is doing so good. Lots of squash. And it's just one seed. going over here. Even up in there. Lots and lots of squash in it, on it. Just one seed made all this. And this is the back side of my beans. Again, they're starting to dry, so it won't be long before I can harvest those and have dried beans. Also, another view of my broom corn. It's just cool. I like it. My zinnias. And a lovely day on the homestead. This is my good group of goats, not the troublemakers. Those are my 3 oldest goats and my 3 youngest goats. Troublemakers are still over there fighting. Over there. Cows in the shade. Cows in the sun. Beautiful, beautiful day.